When a new ship owner finally takes possession of a vessel, it feels like a massive achievement. You are suddenly the master of thousands of tons of steel, cutting through the ocean, completely self-reliant. But buying that immense physical structure is actually the easiest, most straightforward part of the entire process. The moment that hull fits open water, the owner becomes the manager of a complex, moving ecosystem, carrying total responsibility for every soul and every ounce of fuel aboard. Focusing only on the steel leaves the operation dangerously exposed. The real protection, the foundation of maritime risk management, comes from securing coverage for third-party liabilities. These are the specific maritime conventions that act as an invisible armor around the vessel. To successfully command a commercial voyage, a new owner has to shift their focus. They have to worry less about the physical ship they own and start mastering the expansive risks that occur immediately outside of it. This schematic helps visualize how that risk works. Maritime liability expands outward from the center of the ship in concentric rings of responsibility. The very first ring covers the human element. Key maritime conventions strictly mandate coverage for crew injury and death. This is the most intimate, foundational layer of liability. Before you worry about the voyage, you have to protect the specific people who are making that physical voyage possible. From there, a second ring expands outward to cover the vessel's economic purpose, the physical goods stored inside the hull. Securing cargo damage liability guarantees financial protection if those goods are lost, ruined, or destroyed while in transit. This coverage prevents a single shipping accident from becoming a permanent financial loss for the businesses waiting at the port, keeping the flow of international trade predictable. These first two inner rings secure the ship internally. They establish a stable, economically viable platform before the vessel ever truly interacts with the outside world. But these internal operations are incredibly tiny when compared to the vast, deeply unpredictable, and shared environment of the open ocean. Bringing back our diagram, we see a third ring expand far beyond the hull. This dictates what happens when the ship interacts with the external environment. The first component of this outer ring is collision liability. If a ship interacts physically with another vessel, the resulting structural damage and financial fallout require specialized coverage. Next is wreck removal. If a vessel sinks or runs aground, the ship owner holds the strict, legal responsibility to clear that newly created navigational hazard from the seafloor. And finally, the largest and most expansive risk of all, oil pollution liability. A spill introduces catastrophic environmental and financial stakes to the shared water. Because the damage can decimate coastlines and local economies, international conventions mandate ironclad financial coverage for this exact scenario. Collision, wreck removal, and oil pollution operate as deeply interlocking obligations. They fuse together to form a single, solid boundary. Together, these conventions form the globally recognized foundation of modern maritime operations. Mastering this third ring ensures that a giant moving steel object isn't an environmental hazard, but rather a safely integrated participant in international waters. When all three rings are active, you have a ship operating at peak readiness, completely enveloped and protected by its own accountability. Securing these specific third-party liabilities protects the owner's assets, but the impact extends to the entire shipping community. Complying with these conventions requires active participation in a deeply established international system of care. By managing the crew, the cargo, and the shared environment, a new ship owner evolves from a simple buyer of steel into a highly prepared steward of the sea. True readiness at sea creates a dual safeguard. It insulates the owner from financial ruin and shields the ocean from a voyage gone wrong.